Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about a very key component of the current meta in Rogue Company, which is aggression and making aggressive plays. For those of you who watch Rogue Rivals, you'll know in my casting of it that I said the word aggression a lot and really pointed out how aggression was helping these top tier teams win more rounds and games going into that tournament. I want to give you guys some tips about how you can be a bit more aggressive in your own play and hopefully translate some more wins for yourself. If you do go on to enjoy the video or just want to see daily educational Rogue Company content, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. But for now, let's get into it. So what does it mean to be aggressive within Rogue Company? Well, it doesn't mean screaming down at your teammates in comms, and it doesn't mean running wildly into buildings hoping that you might get a kill. It's about calculated and well-timed aggressive moments to push your own advantage within the game and put the enemy on the back foot, hoping to get a pick and translate that into more wins. It's very important that you know the difference about when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, and that's what I'm going to try and show you in this video. I'm going to start by looking at a clip from Rogue Rivals that really demonstrated how these high-level teams were using aggression to their advantage. So I wanted to highlight this clip from the SDK versus Era Eternity Rogue Rivals final match. The reason I want to highlight this is because of the aggression that is shown from SDK and the really great execution they get off of an initial pick to execute and win the round in one of the fastest times, if not the fastest round win we saw in the tournament. As the clip starts up here, you can see them rushing onto the B site as normal, pretty standard start, taking the platform. Semtex coming out, grenade is going to come over the top, but a snipe comes out from Cool onto MS, and they push immediately. Shark over hill coming around the corner, picks off the Dahlia, dodges the C4 ever so slightly. The rest of the team flooding in, a snipe comes down from mid, flash comes out, but it doesn't matter, the round is already over. All in all, being about a 20-second round in favor of SDK there, due to the high level of aggression they showed. I'm going to go back now, rewind it slightly, and break it down for you exactly the positional things they did to make that work so well, and how they went off that pick from Cool so convincingly. So if we go back, as they rush onto the platform, you see this grenade come over. You see here, grenade comes over, and this is where the pick from Cool comes in. They get the shot onto the Shark, onto the MS, and now they're going to push immediately. Instead of staying back on this platform, they're all going to go together and try and get something. You see them running around. Bops are running through, Overhill comes out, and as he moves around this corner to pick off this Dahlia, look at the positions of his teammates. You have Gringo here on the Vi, right behind him, pushing through mid, and the other two flooding down into red to support that and get a pincer maneuver. This Dahlia and this Anvil have no shot as they move through here because of the high level of aggression. They weren't sitting back trying to work slowly off that pick. They moved with decisiveness and aggression to try and get some more, and they worked out for them. They get the one pick, it comes down, they get the rest of them, the snipe comes down, and just before this flash hits, you can see they've got two down, and in the middle of this flash, a snipe comes down onto this guy from mid, and then the Shark gets finished off as well. And that is how they were able to execute that round win so quickly and so convincingly due to that high level aggression. No one was sitting back, they got the pick, and they all moved off it immediately. So that's a good demonstration of what aggression looks like at the highest level in great coordinated team play. But you don't always have that opportunity in your solo queue matches or even with your team. So I'm going to now tell you a little bit of tips about how you can get to some of that level and just be a little bit more aggressive in your play and capitalize on some of those moments as well. Being aggressive means capitalizing on those opportunities to put the enemies on the back foot, as I've said and as you saw in that clip. But what we need to know is when we should be aggressive and when we shouldn't be aggressive, because sometimes over-aggression can get you killed, get yourself picked, and reverse those roles, giving the enemies the advantage. So it's a very important timing thing you need to understand. So let's talk about those moments where you should start being aggressive within your play and how you can recognize them within the games to start building some momentum for yourself. The first way and most common way that you should start to push your advantage is in moments where you get a pick. Now this can come from a lot of different scenarios. This can come from a sniper pick, as we saw in that Rogue Rivals clip, or it can come from simply a grenade pick or any other down that you see on the enemy team. When you get that pick, it does two things. One, it gives you a numbers advantage because somebody's either down or fully killed, and that allows you to be in a 4v3 scenario, push a site if you're on attack, or if you're on defense, because it does work for both attack and defense being aggressive. You can then push the advantage, put them on the back foot, because attackers don't normally feel like they need to be sort of sitting back and waiting for you. So they tend to be out of position, and you can press that advantage after you get a pick. But what it also means if you only down them is you can capitalize on the moment where the enemy team need to try and get a revive off, especially if they don't have some sort of Dahlia or Saint and they're going for a manual revive. That's 2 people knocked out from the enemy team, one who's down and one who's reviving, meaning you're more in like a 4v2 scenario, and that's another great moment to push that aggressive advantage. So what is the benefit of actually pushing that aggressively rather than staying back and playing for another pick? Well, think of the alternative to them pushing that advantage. If you down someone and they're going for a revive, all that's going to happen is that they're going to get revived and you're back in a 4v4 scenario and you've lost that advantage in those moments you had. Equally, if you get the down and it's a 4v3, by not pushing off that momentum that you gained, you're giving the enemy team time to reposition and collect themselves to then try and 3v4 you, which is very, very possible within this game if they then get a pick and start being aggressive. That's why building off of that momentum and that pick potential that you get and pushing somebody if they're reviving or if they're just down and you're in a numbers situation is always the better play to do, to put them under pressure. Teams don't like being put under pressure. They like to dictate the pace of the game themselves, and when you disrupt that, it can be a real mess for them. There are more times when you should be aggressive than just simply getting a pick, and one of them, and one I do not see a lot of players doing, particularly when they're newer to the game, and is a massive, massive flaw I want you all to try and avoid from now on, is pushing somebody or not pushing somebody when you've done significant damage to them. This can be either with your weapon and they're quite low, or it can be if you've hit them with a grenade and they're quite low. But any situation where the enemy team or an enemy player is quite low is generally a good idea to start looking to be aggressive and finishing off that kill. It's very similar to the other one. By pushing it, you're likely to get that kill and get that pick potential as we mentioned, and by not, you're just giving them a chance to regenerate their health and put you back in that disadvantaged situation. The hesitation I see from newer players once they've done a good amount of damage, whether it be a nice headshot from like a DMR doing like half their health, or whether it be a really nice nade that's done 70 plus damage, but they don't push off that and they don't use that piece of like equipment to their advantage, is really disheartening. What's the point of using that grenade to deal really good damage but not pushing off of it? You've wasted a piece of utility there that the enemy team are just going to have in favor of you now. But if you were to use that and put the enemy team under pressure from that damage they've taken, you're most likely to get that kill. The enemy is not really going to be in a position to fight you because they're low health, meaning they're either going to have to back off of the site or back off of their position and let their team deal with it, in which case you're in a 4v3 again. Or what's going to happen is they're going to stay, get downed, and then we're back to scenario 1 where you have that pick potential again and you can build more momentum off of that. There is another great time similar to these where you can start to be a bit more aggressive, and again, another one I really want you guys to try on, and that is with utility usage. I've always preached about how good utility is at helping you build up momentum within the game, whether it be a flashbang, a semtex, a grenade, Molotov, or whatever it be. It just helps disrupt the enemy and gives you the opportunity to start making an aggressive play. This can be something very simple, from blinding the enemies and pushing off of that, to just literally moving through the explosive smoke that comes from a grenade. A lot of teams aren't really aware that when that grenade goes off, you might be on the other side of the little smoke that does kind of pop up, and you can get some really nice picks off that. Also works with incendiary grenades. If you throw an incense to a point where you can stand behind it and look through it, a lot of teams aren't prepared for you to be on the other side of that incendiary grenade, and you can also get some picks off of that. By doing the unexpected aggressive plays, by either getting picks, by getting downs, by getting damage, or just pushing through good utility, enemy teams are put on the back foot, and that gives you an opportunity to make some momentum for your team. Aggression and momentum go really well together, and that is what tends to win you rounds, as we saw from the Rogue Rivals clips and really from the whole tournament. The teams that were being aggressive and making plays and using good utility and positioning were the ones who were winning rounds, and the ones who were sitting back, allowing the enemy team to plant the bomb, whatever it be, were losing rounds because of it. With all that being said though, I am not saying that every time you get a really nice piece of damage, a good piece of utility usage, or a down, you should be going gun-ho trying to kill everybody on the map. Sometimes it can work, and a lot of the times it will, but you do need to be aware of the scenarios where it won't and play around that map knowledge and awareness. The biggest time that I would say do not push aggressively off one of those scenarios I mentioned is when you do not have enough information on the enemy team's positions or their utility. Let's put this into a scenario for you. Let's say you as a fixer have done a really nice play, you've got a really nice headshot and got a down that you want to then go in thirst and build some momentum off of that. So let's say that you've got this pick on that Dima, but the enemy team have a Dahlia and a Vi, and the Dahlia links to that Dima. Well, the Dahlia's got lifeline, she's getting that res off, and as you push around that corner as your fixer with your sniper, you're met with the Nightshade and poison from Vi, Dahlia looking over you with an MXR, and by the time you've even made it round that corner, there's a Dima there with his ult. In this scenario, if you don't know where that Dahlia is, you don't know whether she's got that link onto Dima, and you don't know where that Vi is, maybe this play isn't good to go full aggressive on. You can still push up and have a look and try and gain information from that and use it as an advantage position, but you shouldn't be going gun-ho with your pistol trying to thirst that Dima, because you're most likely not going to succeed from this kind of play. Not having enough information is going to be a real killer for stopping your aggression. Now this doesn't mean that you shouldn't push towards that corner and have a look and gain that information again, but it does mean that you shouldn't be just running immediately around a corner thinking everything's going to be okay. And then the other time when I'm going to say you don't want to be playing overly aggressive is when you do not have to, when you have big defensive position holding advantage. This is of course most common when you're on the defensive side yourself. I'm not saying you shouldn't be aggressive on defensive sides. It can definitely work to build momentum and just get a nice quick round, but you don't always have to if you can get a nice pick and hold good angles, especially on a map or a side where it can be a bit risky to push aggressively. But the other most common time I see over aggression from people is when they have the bomb planted and they get a pick, they thirst it, and then they're looking for more after that. When you have the bomb planted, you actually have the biggest advantage at that point within the game, and you should just be playing for the bomb. Unless it's a 2v1 right at the end and you've done half their HP and you're telling you and your teammate to push them to get the final pick, that would be the only time or those sort of scenarios where I would say aggression would be good in that situation. But generally, if you can just sit on the bomb and watch it, or just hold a really good angle that's going to help your team out, I would say that is a better play than over aggression and risking something without the full information, as I mentioned. So what's the takeaway from all of this in terms of aggression? Well, firstly, be more aggressive, be more decisive, be looking for picks, be looking for potential, but don't be doing it wildly without thinking about what could happen on the downside. Make sure you try and communicate with your team to have them with you, and make sure that you're just being smart about the aggressive plays you're making while still trying to look for those more aggressive plays. Aggression really is, in my opinion, the thing that is going to win you more games in the current meta with the flashbangs, with the SMGs that are really trying to appear right now. And so you should be looking to adopt that into your play, especially going into the next major release. Okay then guys, that's going to take us to the end of the video. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see how I use aggression in my plays live, come follow me on twitch.tv/raddarkgaming. You'll see those live gameplay commentaries, guides, Q&As, and playing with viewers. All the links you're going to need are down in the description below, guys. But for now, I hope you have a fantastic day. And remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless. And I'll catch you in the next video.